Hi Karthik, thank you for the invitation, and I'm really happy to see that you're utilizing this time in a very creative way during this pandemic. And I'm sure that this series is going to benefit a lot of the upcoming designers who are beginning their journey into this field. I want to start with a quote. It's a quote very relevant to me. It's a quote by Jim Rohn. Whatever good things we build end up building us. Unquote. My journey in architecture was never actually planned. It started way back when I was in the 10th standard. As most of us, I was confused, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted science, so I finished my 10th standard. I did junior college from St. Xavier's College, and I remember having a conversation on the couch with my mom once, and she asked me, do you have any idea what you want to do? Are you interested in something? And I joked with her. I said, listen, Mom, I don't like reading too much. I don't like too much of maths and physics, so being a lawyer or engineering went out. Doctor was out of the question because probably I would have fainted looking at blood. Merchant Navy, I love sports and I still do. Merchant Navy was also out because 6 months on sea means no sports for me. Army was an option, but I had long hair, like those college days where you want to have fun with your hairstyle. So Army, I had to cut my hair, so that went out. And these are funny reasons, but they were true, and I still remember having this conversation. And I know what I liked. I liked to do a lot of sketching. I liked free thinking. I liked creative thinking. And during that time, I remember through a seminar on career counseling, I heard about architecture. And through some friends, I did a little more research on what the field was, and that interested me. And that time, you needed science and PCM to join architecture, which of course now is open to a lot of fields. I gave my entrance exam. I think JJ had an entrance exam that time, and I remember my rank. I think I'd come some 108th, and I'd got admission in Hire College. And I told my mom, there's no way I'm going so far because I stay at Paikala and Hire College was, I think, in the suburbs. Then I heard of Rachna Sansar being there at Prabha Devi. I gave a private entrance exam there and I got in. And that's how casually architecture happened. It was never planned. I remember my first day in basic design where we were given some straws and soaps and we were supposed to build a bridge without support and build the tallest tower. I think that fascinated me. The first instance gave me, okay, I think I'm in the right field. And it went on. I think I made some amazing friends in architecture. I had some amazing seniors and professors who have guided me and motivated me. And of course, there was throughout the years great inspiration from some great architects, Frank Lloyd Wright, Corbusier, Charles Correa, Zaha Hadid, Daniel Libeskind, Calatrava, and they all taught me how versatile this field is. And there are so many things that you can do, which just inspired me in the years to get better and take this field a little more deeper. When I was in my 4th year, we used to talk to a lot of our ex-students who've passed out and to know what is happening in the current market. And I remember at that time there were not too many firms, small firms like that there today. There were a few big names like Mr. Hafiz Contractor, Talati Pantaki, and a few more. And I remember at that time, the juniors that used to pass out were more treated as draftsmen or, going on site with tracing papers, measuring, and not given too much creative thinking. I didn't feel excited to do that. And from that moment, I said, no, I'm going to start off on my own. I need to figure out a way because I'm not a 9 to 5 person. I like using my head. I don't like being ordered around by someone. Okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I decided that day that, okay, this is not going to happen. I'm going to start off on my own. For that, I needed to do an internship in a small place where I could learn. And I remember my senior, Ashisha, and Ankur Khosla. Both are wonderful architects. They were wonderful seniors. very talented, and they had both, of course, now have established practices and are doing very well from themselves. I started to do my work under them because I looked up to them as a junior, and it was just the three of us, me being the junior, so we used to do the designing, and I used to manage all the site work, right? I learned to make 3Ds, I learned to manage sites, I learned to inspect sites, and I really thank them for all the push that they gave me at that time. Yes, and as an intern, you have to also take it up onto you to learn, because your goal is set. If you have to reach that, you need to start. And so that really helped me and gave me the confidence and made me understand what the real field or the real world outside is. I remember in my fifth year another instance where towards the end, before my final exam, one of my neighbors came to me and told me, okay, I have a friend who stays in Mahim and he wants to do his house up. Will you do it? I said, listen, I don't have any knowledge on interior design, but I said, okay, I'll take it a try. What's there to lose? And I remember speaking to the client and he said, I want my 1 BHK house done up. Will you do it? I said, sure. So I gave him the designs. He loved it. He told me, okay, I need you to execute it. And I remember telling him, okay, listen, I don't have the expertise or the knowledge to do it. He said, no, we'll manage. I said, okay, let's go ahead. And we did the house, learned again a lot, used my experience from my internship times, and we completed and did a good job. And I think I remember getting paid more than what I had quoted. So I think that was a big confidence booster for me to, look ahead. Once I graduated, now was the time to find out how to get clients. And I remember my batchmate Anmol, who also I think has an independent practice right now and is doing very well. I teamed up with him and I had a couple of people, friends working in corporate offices and in the sales department, and they were looking out for young architects. So Anmol and me made a presentation and they liked it. And we started off small, okay? Though the presentation was for a sales office, but I think when we got on board, we were given these small lobbies in redevelopment buildings, 100 to 500 square feet, just spruce up the lobbies of the buildings. But we took it up as a challenge. We took it up because that was our passion. And I remember till date me running around in a cab going to Crawford Market, because we were very tight budgets, you see. And fees were as good as peanuts, but you don't look at fees at that time when you're passing out. You're looking at to grow knowledge, you're looking at to gain experience, and you're looking up to build up your portfolio. And I remember going to Crawford Market, filling a cab with artificial flowers, going to sites, redecorating those lobbies, revamping the space. Slowly from there, we moved up to doing larger spaces. We started getting show flats from the same developer, small commercial lobbies. Then in the middle, I remember there was a little low time and there was no work. Remember when you're fresh and you are just young, it's difficult. I remember mom coming and having a conversation with me. I think that was around 2 years after I passed out. Small projects were there, but not really too much income coming in, so how parents get worried. And she comes to me and saying that, listen, you have good enough knowledge and experience. Why don't you join a firm? And I told her, no, mom, I have a goal. I have a vision. I'm going to go at it no matter what. And I remember a few weeks later, I get a call from a developer saying that I have my 25,000 square foot head office to develop. But it has been done by another company. I think it was an international company, and they wanted me to only look at the project management part. And I was not keen, I was not interested. And it came to me again after a few months saying that the designer has changed, will you still take it up? I still said no, like an idiot. Few months back it came again. And that time I thought to myself, what are you losing? Imagine the confidence that you will get in doing an office of this scale. And I decided to take it up. I had a junior, I remember getting him, and of course there was no office, I used to work from home. We put him up on site and we started. And I remember the client giving me a set of 300 A3 sheets and saying, okay, you manage now. We won't do many changes, we'll just 5-10% change. And I remember we ended up changing 95% barring the layout. And there was so much to learn, right from the integration of the electricals, the security system, how to manage a project at that scale. And lucky there was a great project manager on site who really guided and helped me. I mean, to get something which you just 2 years passed out is something that does build your confidence up to a different level. And that really gave me the inspiration and the motivation to push forward. Then I decided that if I have to grow, I cannot work from home. So I remember renting a small office. And I remember in those low times when there was not too much work, I took up teaching. I taught 5 years at the Academy of Architecture. And I would say teaching also helped me a lot do multitasking. I remember sitting with my students and giving them crits in 2 hours for around 15 projects. So that really helped me improve my design skills. It really helped me look at multitasking in a different way, and it helped me take up simultaneously quite a lot of projects in the future. So moving on from there, initially I could not afford too many people, so I had most of my students coming and doing internship with me, working with me for a few months before going for their masters. So we started building up a small office, taking up bigger projects, started marketing ourselves a little better. Today we've shifted from a 160 square foot office to a 350 square foot office, and we are a team of 8 young, dynamic, passionate designers who work tirelessly and effortlessly to create, I would say, aesthetic designs filled with practicality, technology, and catering to our clients' demands. We take up whatever is thrown at us. We like being versatile. We don't want to be stereotyped. We try and see that every project that we do is different. Every project needs to come back with the client smiling and successful. And clients are well traveled now, so we also do a lot to update our knowledge, do a lot of R&D to see that each client gets his own unique house. And we do, as I said, anything. Our portfolio varies from residential interiors to show flats to high-end interiors to offices to retail to getting into architectural projects like bungalows, landscape gardens, children gardens. So we basically take everything, that keeps us fresh, that keeps us versatile. And I would like to end on this part by saying that I would like to thank all those people that have been part of my journey from the start to now and helped me in whichever way that goes, from my teammates, my students, my parents, my professors. They've all been instrumental in making SMA what is there today. And it's also important for us to know that you need to grab those small opportunities and not run after money at that initial stage. Taking up those small projects, running from Crawford Market to the suburbs in a taxi, setting up your whole lobbies alone with the watchman for what, 15,000, 20,000 bucks at that time, didn't matter. It was the larger picture that you need to keep in mind and move ahead. So I think that's where we are today, and we are still striving to grow better and stronger. Try and keep our design process very simple and straightforward. Yes, but every project helps us modify that a little to see that it becomes easier, more transparent, and more enjoying for both designers and the client. I mean, it starts with a very simple thing, which is a site evaluation, and there's a design brief given by the client. Post that, we have our contract with its terms and conditions. The contract sometimes goes also with the contractor, which has its clauses, the penalty, and the timelines. We also do a very detailed character sketch of each family member we are designing for. I think that becomes very important and instrumental in making a good design. because you need to understand who you're designing for, right? I mean, you cannot design a minimalistic house for someone who lives a messy life. Yes, you will enhance their way of living because that's what our job is, but to know the pros and cons of the person, the likes and dislikes of a person, really help you get in depth into your design concept and process. After that we send a detailed design brief, a requirement that goes into every detail, right from a pet basket to a coat hanger, which gives the client an insight on how he wants to live his everyday life. So those minute details help us organize our plans better. Of course, after all the data is accumulated, we get into our mood boards, we create 3D views, and during this whole process, till the 3D views, we like involving the clients with us because we want them to enjoy their house. We don't want them to sit there and look at it as a secondary project. We like the involvement, we like the excitement because that keeps us on our toes, and it makes them more open to ideas which may have been forgotten initially. So it's a very transparent process, but it's a fun process. So once the 3Ds are done, then of course your execution drawings are made, and then site work. We have a mandatory site visits where looking at your line outs, your plumbing, your electrical are all done in my presence. And then I have team members who look after the regular visits and the design issues on site. And then of course we have a few visits with the clients at the end for your accessories and your fabrics and your rugs. And I think that's where it's pretty simple, and they enter their dream home. And we try and keep it as close as to the 3D views that we've shown them earlier. Challenges, I think, are a part of our life, everyday life. I mean, if there is no challenge, I don't consider the project fun. And the effort, the sweat gone into it, and then you see a project come out, I find those more exciting rather than a project which is just gone very smooth and boring and nothing exciting in it. Sometimes challenges also, you have to realize, they make us tougher. Our field is full of adaptation, okay? And you cannot let these challenges overshadow you. You have to take them in a positive way, because that will only help you become tougher and improve your way and working as a designer. Challenges can be of any sort. They vary from a demanding client to tough timelines, society pressures, could be in contractors who are difficult to manage. Worst is, according to me, is a contractor who cannot really read drawings, and that's really annoying because that takes a lot of your time and input in explaining it to them, making a lot of sketches on site. But what is done has to be done. I also feel sometimes some of the challenges are with yourself as a designer. I mean, you design something on paper, it looks beautiful, and you suddenly realize on site that no, it's not looking good. And a small example that I can narrate, I think that's the one when I did my first project in my final year, where I spoke about earlier, is I had to design a living room which was very, very tiny, and the whole living room was around 8 feet by 10 feet, or maybe lesser, maybe 7 feet width, and we had to have a sofa and a wall in the front. And when you're a fresher, you start making all those Photoshop drawings and creative paneling. And I remember making the wall opposite the sofa into a beautiful grid of light wood veneer, and then you had these graphics instead of putting art frames, because that was very common. And when I went on site, once the kacha paneling was done, and I stood where actually I would be sitting in a sofa, and I saw that doesn't look good at all. It looks heavy, it looks on you, and I was scared at that time because it was my first project. What would the client react? What about the cost that has gone in making it? Will he cut it from my payment? But something in told me, I said, that's not important. I think it's more important that he gets a wonderful wall and he's happy with it. And I took up the courage and went up to him and said, okay, see, I'm not really happy with this. Can we scrap it off? And he said, okay, it's your baby, do what you want. And I remember scrapping off all that heavy paneling, and we just painted it a beautiful lemon yellow, put a minimalistic shelf and just a series of art and it looked so nice, and he comes back and says that I think you did the right decision. So I think that also is an important thing, where you don't need to worry about that. You need to go with your gut feeling and talk to your client, and I'm sure if it's for the better of all, more often than not it's going to turn out into a yes. I also remember the way the challenge is now. One of the bigger challenge now is your timeline, which, as I said earlier, I remember the first project I did in my internship. I remember the client telling me, okay, I'm giving you as much time as you want, but I want my house to last for 100 years. Use materials that way. Times are different now. People want things fast. People are staying in rent. They are paying money there. You are pushed to the limit. So you need to manage yourself smarter. The whole design process that we spoke about has to be transparent and clear at the first go, so that you save the time once you are executing it. And I think at the end it's all about adapting to these different things, and one who can really do it best in today's time will succeed and grow. Else you can perish. Well, no one thought that this would get so serious, and I remember mid-March the world stopped. So did SMA. And like all, we figured out ways to survive and motivate ourselves, and I'm really happy that my team took this challenge in a very positive way. I remember when it all initially started, we were all confused because no one had an idea when this whole thing is going to end or what the next steps were. I think slowly, as the dust settled, we realized how to make better use of this time and use it in a much more productive way, both I think personally and as an office. I would break up this pandemic situation in two ways. One is how has it benefited me, and second is how is this helping our office to go better. I would start with the personal ways, where it has given me a lot of time to spend with my family, my kids, which is very difficult on normal days, and I think we all know what I mean. So just doing a lot of sketching, which is also my personal hobby, catching up some good movies with my kids and my wife, spending some good time with my parents, doing a lot of house cleaning. I think that's what everyone's been doing, I guess. As far as office, it has really helped us. This time we've taken to really work on good designs for our pending projects which have not yet kicked off. We are also using this time to sharpen our presentation skills, a few admin glitches that have been there. I've also been trying hard to motivate my team to use this time wisely to enrich themselves in their favorite pastimes. And we also share data with each other. And we've come up with some amazing skill sets of my team members. I'm really proud to have them on my team. During this pandemic, I think knowledge has been very, very accessible, and which is a very good thing. And it's all around the world. A lot of people, architects, vendors, craftsmen are sharing a lot of knowledge, so there can be a lot of collaboration and a lot of new things to learn. And that's what we do. We have been attending webinars, we've been attending one-on-one conversations with business heads to learn the newest in technology, products, which is all helping us in a way to improve our knowledge and know what the next steps are. In this time, so many things have changed, our thought processes are changing, and we've realized how important in today's time a study place at home is, or a workspace. And that probably could change the definition of a home in the coming times. Designing a home could just become a new challenge after all. So let's see, and let's pray for the best. At the end of the day, you need a happy customer, you need a happy client, because if that happens, you're going to get money and you're going to get more work. Okay, so I'm going to explain 3 scenarios and then probably add a few points to this. Let's take scene 1. Is the client has a ridiculous claim or has a ridiculous demand. Either you tell him that you don't interfere with my work, but that's going to be making a very angry client and you losing your job. But you will have the sense of satisfaction of being an ethical designer. Let's take scene 2. Scene 2 is you go ahead with your designs ignoring the client's demands. If the design turns out successful, you're lucky, but if not, the client can get offended. Probably these things can work out if you have a client you know for long and you trust him and he trusts you. The third scenario is you compromise and do whatever the client wants, and that way you will have money, but you may not be able to put that work in your portfolio. But you've got the money, and probably that's when you can do when he's really desperate for money. Now, of course, this is a very subjective thing. It varies from designer to designer. What we sometimes do is when a client is very demanding or rigid, we weigh in the situation and we try and understand his requirements, the practicality, and most often than not is we try and get cost implications in, saying that if we do this or if we have to break this, the cost is going to increase, and more often than not that works in our favor. Second is, I think, one also when you have a client like that, it's important that you don't act aggressively, is you are patient, you listen and try and find a way, because if you act aggressively it may work negative. The client may feel bad about it and you may break the relation with him. So it's important that you are patient, you listen to him, and then probably figure out the pros and cons and probably come up with a better concept to counter it, or explain the pros and cons to him. See, at the end, I believe it's very simple. You need to have good convincing powers. That's the key. You need to master them, and if you can do that, I don't see more often than not you will get a convinced client. Certain things as a designer that I really don't compromise in my projects is, one would be their hardware. We go for the best brands because that's something that you don't want getting bad. I don't believe in spending tons of money on your Italian marble, but I believe in using the best hardware because that's going to last you for a longer time. Your concealed plumbing, your wiring, anything that is going in and that is going to cause you a major hassle needs to be the best brand. So we go for the best brands, and it's just about trusting your capabilities and being who you are and being able to convince them that this is the best for you. So that's more of it as far as what I would not compromise as a designer. I think the most important advice I feel is passion. You need to be passionate about yourself, because if you're not, I don't think you can go anywhere. Young architects need passion. At their initial stage of the career, most of them, I think, run more of the money, or I would not do that. And I did not do that. You need to be passionate. If there is no passion, there is no goal. You need to believe in your ideologies. Your design ideologies are your strength. Don't try and copy someone you look up to, because they are there because they have followed their design path, their design ideologies. Make your design ideology your style, your statement. I think that's important. I think a lot of people try to copy and fail. Be versatile. You need to be different. You need to take up different projects. You need to not be stereotyped. Each client wants their house to be unique. You need to help them do that. You need to differentiate yourself. Be different. Develop your own skill set, your own unique style. Build a community. A very small percentage of people can actually afford the services of an architect. In that case, young architects can start involving themselves with community work, start giving suggestions, start helping out ways to improve infrastructure in your community, like whether it could be giving a solution to a parking problem, it could be a solution to rainwater harvesting. Start influencing people, start making them aware of yourself. Another point where I would say is save this profession. A lot of people don't really know what architecture is. I think talk about it. The general public needs to be more aware of what our profession is. Seek mentors. When I say seek mentors, means find research people who have a similar skill set as yours, because that will help you grow, take their experience to a different level, and help you in a way also. Networking. Without networking, you cannot have jobs, so good networking is very important. Seek the opportunity. I would say grab. When you get that opportunity, grab it. When I gave you all examples of those small little projects that came at the start, it didn't make a big difference on how much money I got at that time. But it's important that you do the project well, get recognition in the client's eyes, because that's going to help you grow further. You also need to get out of your comfort zone. There are certain skills that you may need to develop. If you're a soft-spoken person, you need to go and master the art of communication, because communication becomes very important in this field. You cannot really communicate without having a good skill set. You need to be patient, very, very patient in this field, because you will find a lot of clients think that they know a lot. But being patient always helps you. Listen more. Okay, that will help you gather your thoughts and come up with a much better design philosophy or a concept or an argument that you may need to win. Last, I would say, is embrace failure. We as designers get worked up on failures. I used every failure and I still use it today to help me improve. Life is all about failures. If you take it in a positive way, you will always see it that it has helped you become stronger. I think these are some of the qualities that if young designers can keep, it is only going to help them become stronger and better people in this tough world, I would say, around. I think first is you need to have good work. Your work needs to speak a lot about yourself, and you need to let people know of your existence. Word of mouth has always been there to help you market your work, but I think social media is there to just push it faster and in the right direction. It's like an apple vendor having the best apples in his basket, and if he's going to walk in a society quietly, no one's ever going to know that. But if he goes doorstep to doorstep marketing his apples, there's going to be more awareness and there will be more sale. Same, that's what social media really does. It helps you market to the right audience. A couple of years back, I was wrong in believing that social media was not as all important, was just a way of engaging your time on the phone. I was wrong. For the instant, I used to not probably even attend any of those events, out of being lazy or whatever. But today I learned the value of that. And there have been so many platforms like Instagram, house.com, Facebook, which has helped us designers reach out to a lot more people, reach out to the right people, get resources from the right people, and it has helped us get a lot of work in the last 2 years, especially house.com and Instagram. It's also a place where we put up our work, we share our team, and it's like one little happy place where everyone can put their thoughts in. So yes, I believe the future is all about technology, it's all about social media, and it's like either we adapt or we're going to perish. Sports and me have been inseparable. It dates back since when I was 3 years old. It's been a part of my life, and I think it's always going to be. I love sports. You name the sport, I've played it. Whether it's football, cricket, table tennis, badminton, I think that keeps me alive. It acts as a great stress buster for me, helps me be fit. And I know even in our difficult times and tough times in architecture, you still find ways to take out time and do what you like, right? Because that's what you like. So I still play a lot of professional cricket, and in fact now we have the Architects League, which is fantastic because um, it's a community which has known nothing other than working and designing, and now when we meet on the field, I mean, it's a very different ball game. I mean, so much fun to spend time with our people of our same fraternity, and I think we enjoy it, and we look forward each year for this tournament to come up, and it's only growing bigger and bigger every year with more teams all over Maharashtra coming in and playing. So I'm excited for that. And yes, as I said, it acts like a stress buster, and I enjoy it. Photography started, I remember, way back in I think 2008, 2009. I remember we had gone on a trip to document some village hospitals or those district hospitals. I was with my friend Anmol and one of my professors, Mr. Khanolkar, and I remember we were close to Tadoba Wildlife Sanctuary, and one of the places that we need to document was, I think, Gadchiroli, Chandrapur, in the Chandrapur district. So our gypsy driver said, "Okay, sir, we are close by to the forest, should we go and make a trip?" And we all said okay. And I remember having a tiger sightseeing 5 feet from my car. I mean, that day it changed the way I saw life. I started loving wildlife photography. I started loving visits to the forest. It made me a very different person. It started making me look deeper into my senses, which are seeing and hearing. Started making me look at details. Today I take photography to a different level, where I sometimes do my own photo shoots for my own site, and we've also taken it a step further to create art through our photography and probably see if we can use it in our projects. So it's a process that is ongoing, keeps on adapting, keeps on changing, and we try and find new ways where we can use it in our work. I've always believed that you should do what you like, and not do it because there is money or there is fame or your friend is doing it. It has to come natural. It needs to become a habit. It needs to become a dream that pushes you to go further. Okay, and you're going to have people who are going to criticize you, but as long as you can justify it, I don't think there is a problem. There are so many of my friends who, of course, this is after doing their architecture course, are doing nothing with designing buildings, because probably they felt that their passion is not in that. I have seen so many becoming an artist, becoming photographers, becoming I know a person who does Diwali gift cards, and she's making a fortune out of that. So at the end, it needs to come from within. It needs to be like a flame which guides you and pushes you to your pushes you to a destination that you're going to be happy with. And remember, at the end, whatever decision that you make is going to affect you and your loved ones. So as long as you're sticking by it and you have a vision and you have a goal, I would say go for it. Well, it's very difficult to say which project I'm most satisfied with, because I love all my projects, whether there are 100 square foot bedroom or maybe a 4,000 square foot house or a 50,000 square foot office. They all come with their own challenges. Every client is different. Every site is a challenge, and we've enjoyed doing all of them, to be honest. I mean, if you ask me one particular thing, I would pick My first project, which was the watchman's cabin, it was a small 40 square foot cabin which I designed in my 4th year for a colony that I stay. And I think that's been close to my heart, being my first love, being my first project, and that gave me a lot of confidence to really look up to this field in a very different way. So I would probably put that, but as I said, all of the projects are special to me and it's very difficult to choose one. The dream project, well, that's difficult, but I would love to design a wildlife resort, because that would take me back to the jungles and also take me back to my hobby of wildlife photography. Well, it's difficult to remember one thing, but I think a lot of things in my daily travel and everyday life, or my travel outstation or in India, have affected me in different ways. Like probably in my recent trip to Italy, when I was in Bellagio, I mean, just the small streets, the cozy tiny street with the cobbled pathways, the colorful houses, actually um, de-stresses you. It takes you into a different zone. It relaxes you. Another example is, I love historical monuments. Whenever I go to castles, cathedrals, churches, they transform me, and they actually take me into a different era. I mean, by the magnanimity of the scale, the stunning architecture, the detailing, and just to think that all of this was done at a time when there was no technology, there was no software, is something that is remarkable. And things like that really inspire you, move you to really see how minuscule you are compared to those things, and urges you to push yourself forward. So as I said, it's travel diaries and everyday things in daily life. Anything could inspire you. So no particular project as such.